Tom Downey here for NFL Daily, taking a look at some potential big-name NFL trade candidates. Will they all get dealt? No, but these are some names to monitor if there's going to be a blockbuster deal to an extent. First up is C.J. Henderson, which was a rather surprising development that emerged about a week ago or so. Days are tough for me. That the Jags are open to dealing their first-round pick from a year ago, top 10 pick. Very much unheard of, quite frankly. 9th overall pick last year. He missed some games as a first-year player. Part of this offseason had some COVID, was not maybe in the best of headspaces either. But to be potentially shopping a first-round pick a year after, that's organizational failure if he does end up getting moved. Now, Henderson, as a rookie, only 8 games, not the best production. Now, we have to remember, life in the NFL for a rookie corner, especially when the supporting corner talent around you is not good, is really, really bad. Like, it is a very difficult life if you are a first-year player as a corner. It's not easy. But if Henderson's not a starter, the Jags are now okay. Shaquille Griffin, they draft Tyson Campbell because Urban Meyer's known him since he was an 8th grader. Trey Herndon can be your cornerback 3. That's not bad. You want Henderson to be the guy, but if you were to trade him, you'd actually kind of end up being okay. I think Claybrooks makes his team as a return guy, by the way, potentially. I don't think he gets dealt because it's so unheard of and raises a lot of a lot of red flags go up and you're like, wait a minute, why would they trade him? You don't trade a top 10 pick after a year unless he's Josh Rosen. That's not something NFL teams do very often. So what would you do? You're the Jags. You're in charge. What are you doing with Mr. C.J. Henderson? Type T for you're trading him, or if you're like me, type K for keep. Now to the other big-name corner, since we can give up on the Xavier Howard trade rumors, I guess we'll call it. I almost said fantasy, but it kind of made some sense for a little bit there. Stephon Gilmore. He's long been linked to trade rumors, and he wants a new deal from the Patriots. As we sit right now, he is currently on the physically unable to perform list. And although he is a bit banged up, quad injury late last year, he could be what we call holding in, where you can't hold out anymore because the fines are too expensive, but you show up to camp and you're just there. But you're not practicing because you want the new deal. It worked perfectly, by the way, for Jamal Adams. Wasn't practicing, gets paid. Oh, now I'm good to go. Come on, it's very obvious there. The issue for Gilmore is at his age, coming off a down year, raises red flags. And value-wise, you're talking probably like a Julio Jones caliber player. Like, that's the return I think you'd end up getting. But he wasn't as good 2020 as he was in 2019. That is a potential red flag. That is a potential issue for teams if they were to go get Gilmore. But if the Patriots decide, you know what, we're going to bail a year early like we know with other players in the past, Gilmore makes a lot of sense. So get your predictions in here. What is the percent chance that Gilmore is traded? Is it 5, 10, 25, higher? Make your predictions for me in the comments section. Now, back-to-back Patriots here. N'Keal Harry, who his agent wants out. He says, Harry doesn't want to be here anymore. Let's make a trade. He has reportedly, though, been faring better at training camp this year. Yay, that's awesome. Good for N'Keal Harry. The red flag here is that, okay, is that true, or is that the Patriots trying very hard to leak it to drive up some trade value? Because N'Keal Harry, he's been a bust, man. And he's not worth much on the trade market. And maybe you're talking a late day 3 pick or even a day 3 pick. So kind of like the Duke Dawson trade, if you guys remember him a little bit ago. 21 games, 45 grabs. That's a first-round pick. Like, if N'Keal put this up in his first season, you go like, oh, that's kind of bad numbers for a first-round pick. Not for 2 years. That's unacceptable. And look, we can throw N'Keal Harry in there as wide receiver 3. It's fine. I am aboard the Jacoby Myers hype train, though. Truly, I am. It's just not a great group for receivers. in New England. That's just the reality that they're at right now. So I got more guys to get to. Before that, though, name a player who you think ends up getting traded. Get your votes in for me in the comment section. Name a player you think gets traded. This will be the pinned comment, by the way, of today's video. Let's talk Denzel Mims now and the New York Jets. Could the Jets actually trade away their second-round pick from Baylor after just 1 year? Mims only played in 9 games as a first-year player and showed some promise. But in camp, and we'll talk about the preseason in a second, but in camp, Mims, surprisingly, was buried on the depth chart. Wasn't a fit for the offense, whatever the hell that means, which I'll give some insight to in a minute. But Mims is a fit with the Jets all of a sudden looks murky. 9 games last year, again, was limited due to injury. 23 catches, 357 yards, and 0 touchdowns. And Mims has shown promise. He's shown ability to, maybe not be a round 1 guy, but to be a potential very good receiver in the NFL. And I still think that is a possibility for the young Jets here. To put it in perspective, and this is, of course, a pre-draft evaluation. I'm wrong plenty. Everybody is. I like Denzel Mims a hell of a lot coming out of Baylor. I had him as my number 5 receiver in the class. That's how high I was on Denzel Mims. Clearly, maybe a bit too high. But he's better than where he was working with the Jets in camp. Now, Corey Davis, Elijah Moore, who I also love, by the way. He's going to be a stud. Jamison Crowder, okay, I get it. Keelan Cole, okay. Vincent Smith? Braxton Berrios? Then Denzel Mims with the 3s? I don't get that. Mims is a good player, at least has the potential to be a good player. And he showed it again, by the way, in the preseason. 3 catches, 51 yards, and if you missed the highlights of that 20-yard catch, go watch it. They were pretty awesome, pretty baller. I think Denzel Mims should be a part of this Jets team this year. Even if he's only receiver 4 right now, keep him. There is upside. I know he's not a great route runner, but the athletic profile, the highlight reel ability, I think carries value. I think he can be a better player than what Keelan Cole is for the Jets, even right now. So I don't want to bail on Mims. But in the case that the Jets just don't think he's a fit because he's not a great route runner, which is true, and they like route running, but also every offense likes route running, so that's not a totally sudden change. That's a bit of a deceptive argument, I think. I don't want to bail on Mims. I don't want that. But if he's not going to make your team, trade him now. Get a 5th or a 4th or whatever pick back in exchange. So what would you guys do? Would you trade Denzel Mims? I say no, but we're a show for the people. So get your votes in. Y for yes, you would, or N for no, you would not. Today's show is made possible by BetUS. Head over to chatsports.com/bet. That link is right there, bottom of your screen. And use the promo code you see right over there. It's NFL Daily. That will get you a 125% deposit bonus. Here's what that means. You put down $100, boom, extra $125 in your account for free, just like that. When we put down $100, of course. You can bet on, speaking of young players, Rookie of the Year odds. Trevor Lawrence, Justin Fields, Trey Lance, let's talk about the Jets, Zach Wilson, plus 750. Not that bad. So if you want to put some money, make some money on the NFL this year, chatsports.com/bet. That promo code is NFL Daily. More receivers, yay. James Washington next up here, and there was a report from Adam Schefter that Washington wants a trade, which, by the way, Mike Tomlin kind of, sort of, disputed that, and we'll see. Watson's role with the addition of Chase Claypool and Deontay Johnson in the past couple years has seen his role diminished. Now, he's pretty cheap. New team owes him $1.1 million. Cool. 2019 looked like a bit of a breakout year for Watson, right? For Washington, Washington. 80 targets, 44 yards, 735 yards, 3 scores, pretty solid hands. Still solid hands, but a bit worse in 2020. But the numbers fell off a cliff last year. And part of that is because Big Ben just could not go deep downfield. 56 targets, 30 receptions, but not even 400 yards, 5 scores. The receiving core right now for Pittsburgh, however you want to rank the big three, are Juju Smith-Schuster, Chase Claypool, and Deontay Johnson. Then it's James Washington. So if you could get a pick back for him and he does one out, might make some sense for the Steelers. And you know what? The Saints need help at receiver. The Lions need help at receiver. There are teams that could be in the market for someone of his caliber. So of the 3 receivers I just mentioned, I want you to pick one of them. Which one would you trade for? DM for Denzel Mims, NH for N'Keal Harry, or JW for James Washington? This next name keeps getting thrown out there, so I wanted to mention it. It's Jaylon Smith. And I think it is very clear right now for Dallas, he's fallen down that depth chart. Now, the starters are a bit different than the rotation. And here's what I mean by that. I'm listing Jaylon Smith as the strong side linebacker starter. The difference here is nickel is what the NFL runs. And Micah Parsons, Leighton Vander Esch, and Keanu Neal have all shown they're better nickel linebackers than Jaylon Smith is. And maybe even Jabril Cox too, if we're being honest. So because of that, he's kind of going to be, I think, your 4th linebacker potentially in terms of snaps. I think you're talking like 25% of them for Jaylon. And I know the tackle numbers look great, 154. The reality is that tackle numbers are a poor way to evaluate players because where are those tackles coming? Coming deep downfield, coming at the line of scrimmage on key third downs, or is it coming in coverage? And it was the latter. Smith's bad in coverage. He can't move the same way he did even back in 2018, and that's all a pretty big red flag. The reason why I remain unconvinced that Smith gets dealt is even though I think the Cowboys could be okay with it, A, they did let him change his number, which cost him 6 figures, or 7 figures, which don't think that's something they would have done if they were going to trade him, and he has an expensive salary. $7.2 million this year, fully guaranteed. Cowboys can't cut him. Are there teams that want that salary knowing that there's over $9 million guaranteed next year for injury? I'm not so sure. Now, you'll notice that I have got no quarterbacks on this list. That's because Mitchell Renz already took care of it. He did trade ideas for Deshaun and Nick Foles and Gardner Minshew. 3 pretty good names, especially those 2 guys on the edges there with not off-the-field concerns. So if you want some quarterback examples, go check it out. Thumbnail looks just like that. You'll see it on YouTube. And, subscribe. That way you don't miss out for next time. Let's go to Zach Ertz now, who has continuously been linked in trade speculation and rumors. The Eagles have shopped him the entire offseason, and they found no takers because his $8.5 million base salary is a problem. Now, the Eagles could cut him if they want, and the 2020 production is why that there hasn't been any interest in him from that perspective. 36 catches. And I know the quarterback situation was bad, but he wasn't good. But in 2019, he almost had 1,000 yards. Maybe you can get that guy. Probably not, but he might exist still. So I think the issue here for Ertz is that the money no longer matches the level of production in play. If the Eagles cut him, there will be a ton of interest, and that might be why they haven't cut him quite yet. Finally, Chandler Jones, the edge rusher for the Arizona Cardinals. I like him. He's a great football player, man. Now, he wanted to trade in July, or at least it was revealed he had requested a trade back in July. I think the request came in a little bit earlier. Final year of his contract, he wants a new deal. Cardinals haven't given him one yet. And although he's coming off an injury-filled 2020, over his career, when he's played what averages out to a 16-game season, so he played 13, you bump the numbers up to make it a full 16-game season. 12.5 sacks, 13.7 tackles for loss. Chandler Jones is like 2 years away from being a Hall of Famer based on his production. He's been that good, guys. So if I'm Arizona, I just paid one old injured guy in J.J. Watt. Why wouldn't I pay another one in Chandler Jones. Like Jones is too important to this team to not find a way to keep him involved. So if I'm Arizona, I'm not trading Chandler Jones. I'm paying him. But if I'm not going to pay him, better find a way to make him happy, or else that could be a problem for Arizona.